Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alicia Darleen. For those of you that have been following me, I'm going to be talking about my birth story in this video. Pretty much I have made a video just about me talking about my birth story, like with all the details. So if you haven't seen that one, you can go back and watch that. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel. This video in particular is going to be my birth story, but it's going to be pretty much from my husband's perspective, like kind of his insight of like everything that happened. We did have a successful VBAC for those of you that are wanting to have a VBAC. So that means you've had a previous C-section and now you want to try for a vaginal birth. There's just a little bit more risks and stuff like that, and more benefits too. So you can kind of talk about that with your doctor, but that's something that we wanted to do, both of us, is to have a successful VBAC. So we did, and it was just kind of a little bit of a crazy story. Like I said, if you want all the details, you can go back to that video and check that out. But this one's kind of from my husband's perspective. This is Joshua, by the way. So this is our wonderful little baby boy, our successful VBAC. He was a champion. He just didn't want to come out. Like I said, for those of you that have been following me, you know that I have a toddler. She's almost 2 years old, and she was a C-section, almost emergency C-section, because my fluids were low and she was breech, and you know, those two things together, they're like, we can't even try for vaginal, it's gonna be a C-section. So my birth plan went out the window with my first. So my second, I'm like, I really want to try for a VBAC as long as it's safe safe for both of us, and that's pretty much what we did. So yeah,
real quick, now first of all, my name is Jonathan Montoya, and I just want to say that my wife is absolutely amazing. Like, I have so much more respect for her now that I saw her go through that. And like I said, she went through her whole story in that previous video, so go check that out if you haven't yet. But I just have a whole different perspective on her. I was like, this is just absolutely amazing. And I mean, there's a lot of things that happen we'll go through in this video, but that was just like the overall thoughts. I'm like blown away by this beautiful woman, and I'm super blessed, and I just couldn't believe that. I mean, this baby was 8 pounds, what, 5 ounces?
7 ounces.
7 ounces, like
8.5
dude
pounds,
was a full-grown man before.
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck? But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to say that real quick, and I'll let you kind of lead the way.
All right, so with our first, we went, like I said, C-section, but we had her right when we turned 37 weeks. And then with this little guy, I was kind of expecting to have him early just because I had her early, and I don't know, I was kind of just expecting that. I don't know why. And we ended up going 40 weeks and 1 day. So he did not want to come out, even though we did everything we possibly could. The last month, we were walking 1 to 2 miles a day, trying to just get him out, walk him out. He didn't want to come out.
You're even going to the chiropractor every day, or a lot. And she was doing
twice a week. Yeah.
She was doing exercises, and she was doing literally everything possible. Primrose oil, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Evening primrose oil. I was doing red raspberry leaf tea. I was doing pelvic exercises.
Literally everything.
We were walking. Someone said spicy food. Yeah. I eat spicy food all the time, but we did that anyways just to try it. We did shellfish because someone said that. Yeah, so we literally tried everything that we could control to try to get him out at 40, or no, it was 39 weeks and 5 days. I think we did the membrane sweep. We're like, oh, this is it. It's going to happen in 24 to 48 hours. It's definitely going to happen this weekend, because we've heard so much good things about the membrane sweep that it's going to happen. You know, it's like a game changer. So we're like, yeah, it's going to happen. Still didn't happen. Yeah. So
and I remember it around 39, 40. You're kind of getting a little anxious. She was she had done everything possible, right? And she was just kind of down on herself, just for a couple days, where she was like, why isn't the baby here yet?
Yeah.
And I was just trying to be positive for her and tell her, God's gonna give us Joshua whenever it's time. And I think for some reason she had it in her mind that he was going to come early, probably because of our previous C-section. And I said, hey, it's okay. Keep doing what you're doing. It's not in vain, okay? Everything you're doing, I promise you, it's going to help, okay? And I think that helped, hopefully.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, just because that weekend I was kind of getting emotional and just like discouraged. Like, how come I haven't gone into labor on my own? Just because I heard that if you don't go into labor on your own, you have a less chance of a successful VBAC. So then I was kind of, you know, just hearing all the negative parts of it, and yeah, I was getting kind of down on myself. And
well, I think that was like the key for her, was she wanted the VBAC really bad. I mean, we had gone through the C-section, which was rough for her. Like, took 12 weeks to recover fully, and then even then, like, it was still hurting, right? So,
and this time it would have been harder just because we have a toddler to, you know, be able to, or try to recover from that plus the toddler. Like, I know I could have done it, but I really just wanted to try for the VBAC, so that was important.
I think the VBAC was like the reason why you're getting so kind of stressed out about that, you know, having the baby early. Because I think they mentioned, like, after 40 weeks, like, they have to do a C-section, or it was just more dangerous?
Yeah, they also didn't want the baby to get too big, so then the C-section words came back into the picture, and, you know, just a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, so that weekend was just kind of rough because I was like, yes, I do have some time. Maybe I will go into labor on my own, but I kind of had to face the fact that our induction was going to be that Monday morning. So I had to be okay with that too, you know, just because that's not what I was looking for. Of course, birth never happens the way you want it to happen.
Never.
You can have a plan for it, but I mean, that's kind of just your wish list. So once I did that and kind of accepted the fact that we're gonna get induced, I was like, okay, I can do this still, no matter what. Like, even if I'm not going to labor on my own, even though my cervix was soft, I was getting Braxton Hicks contractions. Like, we were having those early signs of labor, but it never really just like started and kept going. So yeah, so once Monday morning came, I was pretty nervous, but I wasn't too bad. Like, I thought I was gonna be worse, actually. I was more just excited for the end game, you know, like, I was gonna come home with the baby. So I was excited for that more than like nervous about
you
like,
weren't that
induction.
bad, for sure. Like, I remember that morning she was kind of nervous, but not really like she usually is. I think she was more excited and nervous at the same time.
Yeah.
And, you know, I made her big breakfast, and, you know, we had the breakfast, and we went over
I remember
early.
I didn't finish it. Like, I did eat, but I didn't have all of it. Like, I was kind of like, okay, I'm good. Like, I was still a little like nervous.
Her mom came over to take care of Avea, our firstborn.
Yeah.
And we headed over there. We got there at 8 a.m. and it took us about an hour to check in, and we started the process, and that's when everything happened. But at that point, I think she was still ready. Like, I think all the exercises she had done, all the, you know, everything she did getting ready for labor, like, she was ready. Like, it was game time. Like, and that's how I felt.
Like, this is what I prepared for.
Exactly. She prepared for everything. Everything didn't work on like the day she wanted it, but she was ready, right? She had her medicine ball, her exercises ready, like her music.
Oil,
music.
Exactly.
So she was ready to go. It was game time. You know, I'm a sports guy, so like that's how I felt. Like, she was very prepared for it, and, you know, we practice. We got to the hospital, and she was ready to go. And then, what happened after that?
Well, okay, so then we got induced. They started Pitocin on me
right away.
Like 9, or was it 8?
No, it took about an hour and a half, so about 9:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's more of a blur for me. That's why he knows like all the specific numbers and stuff like that. For me, it was just kind of all wrapped together. But yeah, so they started the Pitocin.
You felt it right away, huh?
So when we got there, they're like, oh, well, this might take a little while because you're being induced. I hope you guys brought laptops, movies.
Yeah, we brought movies.
You might be here until the next day, you know, so we're like, okay, this is going to be kind of like a slower process. We can probably, you know, I can send him down and he's going to go have lunch around lunchtime, you know, like we were kind of preparing for all that.
Yeah.
And that's not really what happened. So,
no, well, we thought it was going to be like hours because everyone says Pitocin takes so long. So we're like, oh yeah, we'll bring movies and have
movies,
food.
Laptop, like we'll kind of just hang out.
Yeah, and it started right away. Like she was just started like hurting, right? I mean, just regular labor. And I hadn't gone through that. She hadn't gone through that, you know, because we had the C-section last time.
Yeah.
And it was crazy at first because she was like hurting, but like we were ready for it. Like, you know, she was breathing right, and I was just coaching her through everything. Like, you know, breathe.
I did have a doula, but I feel like my doula, John was like, he was more my doula than anything. He was coaching me through everything. Every contraction I needed to grab his hand and hold on to it just to get me through it.
Yeah.
So continue.
No, yeah, no, for sure. And like for me, I didn't know what to expect. Like we wanted the doula because I didn't know, right? But like I was ready to help her, like anything she needed. And mostly it was just all like, just coaching her through breathing. I think that was the most important part. Every time I told her she needed to breathe, she did it, and she listened to me.
Also, I think he helped me a lot with like the positive affirmations. Like, you can do this, you're prepared for this, you got this, we're gonna have a baby at the end of this. Like, he kept telling me positive things instead of, you know, instead of having just like negative thoughts, like, oh my gosh, what if, is something going wrong? Do I need a C-section again? Like, just all the stuff that you don't want to think about, he was making sure that I wasn't thinking about those type of things. So he was always like just encouraging me the whole time. Yeah,
I mean, I think a big part of like why she was able to have the successful VBAC was she had that positive mindset. You know, whether it was me helping her, I'm sure it helped, but she was also prepared for it at the same time. And usually she kind of gets anxious and will kind of go to that those negative thoughts, but like no, she was absolutely ready. Like, you can't prepare like for something like she did. That was just absolutely amazing. It was like Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, like just ready like for game time. It was the most amazing thing I've seen. But yeah, so at that point we had, I think it was the balloon, right? So like it goes in and it's like it opens you up, right?
It like manually dilates you.
Yeah.
Until you're about 4 centimeters, and then it'll fall out. That was uncomfortable.
I remember like she was hurting, and like she would go to the bathroom, and she was.
It was just so uncomfortable. I could not wait till it like fell out. I couldn't do anything I prepared for. Like, I had all these exercises. I had the birthing ball. Like, I wanted to do all this stuff, and with that, I felt like I couldn't because it was so uncomfortable. I couldn't get in position right. I was like, oh my gosh, get this thing out. Like, it was so uncomfortable, making it harder. And then it was also hard because my nurses were more focused on like monitoring the baby's heart rate.
That was annoying.
And I was like, they're like, well, just lay down, lay on your back. I'm like, I think I'm pretty much having back labor. Like, it is, my contractions are 10 times stronger if you're asking me to lay on my back. And they're like, well, we just need to monitor. Like, it was all about monitoring. I'm like, I cannot lay down. I don't even remember what happened. Did they let me stand up? Like I said, it's
honestly,
a blur.
we just like, we would let them do their thing. They would come in, fix the monitors, and we'd go back to like, she was leaning on the bed, kind of with her elbows on, and then kind of moving her hips, and that seemed like it was working really well for her.
Yeah, I do remember.
I didn't really do any of the rubbing. She wanted me to. She just held my hand basically. Yeah. And the doula finally came in. She did really good with like rubbing her back, all that good stuff. So I think that helped. But yeah, the main thing for us is we didn't want her on her back. So
yeah.
We didn't really fight with the nurses, but we were definitely pushing back, and because we knew what we wanted and we knew how to get that result, and that was not being on our back, you know.
Yeah, it was just so much worse, like so much more painful on my back. So we just kind of had to, they had to keep coming in and fixing the monitor because that's what they're focused on. Yeah, and I understand, you know, that in the hospital that's what they have to focus on. You know, we trusted God and we knew that He was going to get us through it, baby was going to be safe, and you know, we weren't really too worried about the monitor, you know, so, but yeah, so we did that for, I think, what did we get to, 7 centimeters? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or that's when the midwife came in, right?
No, the nurse kept pushing for epidural.
Oh,
first.
yes. Yeah. So that's when the nurses were like, hey, why don't you just do the epidural?
It's going to take an hour for it to actually kick in. What are you waiting for? They just, she just kept pushing it until I was like, well, I don't know. Should I get it? Like, I have no idea. And then finally the midwife came in and she was like, so awesome. She, you know, was there and she's like, you're already like a 7 or 8. She said, you got this, mama. She's like, if you've already gone this far, I don't think you need to do the epidural. She's like, if you can keep going with that same pain, it's not going to get worse. It's just going to get closer together. So you're going to have less of a rest.
Exactly.
So she's like, if you can do that, then you'll be fine. And I was like, okay, I can do that.
But at that point, that's when she was like, okay, so it's going to be the same amount of pain, but the rest time is going to be shorter. Yeah. But we're going to break your water. And they're like, okay, so she went in there.
But she said it's gonna get
start.
intense.
Yeah. And that's when it got crazy. You know, like she had been in pain at that point, but she was still, you know, kind of there, you know, like talking a little bit. But once she broke her water, that's when the real pain happened. So that's when I think you were laying on the bed like this, right? Yeah. So she was laying on the bed facing her head down, but she was still like on her knees and on her elbows, and basically like literally 2 hours straight, every minute on the minute.
What?
It was like 2 minutes labor, 1 minute rest. Like it was like exactly that same rhythm. But when it was labor time, it was straight pain. Like she was just like in pain. Like it was crazy to see. I was like, oh my gosh, it sucks so bad. But like she was doing good. She was breathing, and my goal was just I had to be there for her. Like breathe. You control the outcome. You're gonna have a beautiful babe at the end of this. And I kept telling her that. We had, you know, Christian worship music playing in the background.
I think that helped a lot too, because every time I would come down from a contraction, I could hear the chorus or whatever the words were. I'd kind of hold on to that, and then boom, we would go back up to the next contraction. And I didn't actually realize that I was in that much pain for that long. I mean, I guess it was long for me, I guess like 2 hours. But I was like, I didn't know it was that long. I didn't know it was 2 hours until like we talked about it after. He's like, yeah, you were doing that like on the minute for 2 hours straight.
Yeah.
So and we didn't get the epidural.
Yeah, at all, because you know the midwife was really supportive of what we wanted to do.
Yeah. Which
was nice. But yeah, so at that point, like those 2 hours were super intense. She was literally like just grabbing my hands so hard. Like I don't even know how she got that much strength. She was like grabbing it. But I was there for her. Like she didn't want me to move. She didn't want me to move.
No, I was like, you cannot leave. He was gonna go eat lunch. Nope. Sorry, it took that like.
Yeah, well, she just wanted me there. She wasn't really talking at all. Like she was like in like some. Zone, she was in the zone, like not there. It was kind of crazy to see. But
like I did not talk to anybody. I did not open my eyes. Like I had to just mentally.
Yeah, I was just my job was just like talk to her, but I was also giving her water. You know, trying to keep her hydrated. I had a little fan on there. Pro tip, get a little fan. It worked amazing. I kept her cool so you didn't get too hot. But yeah, so the doula was just kind of, you know, rubbing her feet and her back, and I think that helped a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, she was like, does this feel good? Does this, do you want me to do this? And I was like, not even talking. Like,
well, you would kind of move her hand, like,
okay.
This was
oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
So
like,
I
was having more of that.
You didn't say a word for those 2 hours.
Yeah.
But it was intense. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty intense to see her like. She was just like breathing and screaming and like it was just crazy, and like I literally got like nail marks all in my hand because like that she had my hand the whole time. But
what else happened to your hand?
And then she bit my hand like 3 times, just like straight up as hard as she could.
I guess I wanted him to feel my pain as well.
Yeah, it was crazy. So lost a hand almost, but no, that was good. And then they said, hey, well, when you have the sensation of pooping, like we're about ready to push. Yeah. And that's when she was like, I gotta poop, and like she's like screaming in a different type of way, and we're like, oh shoot. So then the nurses came in, and we were getting ready to push, and
didn't they leave and say you're not ready yet? And then,
they did.
Like a couple minutes later.
They checked her. She was 9 centimeters in
Oh, okay, nice.
So then I think we went maybe an extra 10 minutes. So the same thing, an extra 10 minutes, and then they came in, and then that's when
they said 10.
Yeah, then the 10. And
that's when I turned around because they're like, okay, it's baby time. So I turned around. I finally opened my eyes after this whole time I had been like eyes closed, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a bunch of people in here. You know, like it's happening now. You know, and I feel like that was the most painful part for me was the pushing. I feel like the contractions, yes, they were really, really bad. Every time I'd have a contraction, I'd kind of count, like, I don't know, this is just like kind of what I did. I would count and just, I think I would count to like 5 or 10, or I don't even remember what I did until my contractions came back down. So then the pushing, my rhythm was off, you know. I'm like, okay, wait, what are we doing now? I don't know what's happening. And so that was kind of scary.
Yeah, no, it was crazy, but
so talk about the pushing part.
Yeah, so basically they held her legs back, or her knees. I think she held her legs back somehow. And the first push, like she had never pushed before, so they're like, you need to hold your breath and push, right, or something.
Hold my breath for 10 seconds.
Yeah, hold her breath for 10 seconds. So the first one, we kind of saw the head, but I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, what the heck? It was crazy to see.
Gosh.
And then the second one, she pushed a little harder, and like we saw that it was like crowning. And then
they told me that because I'm pretty sure I had my eyes closed again, right?
No, well, yeah, and then at that point they're like, "Do you want to see the? Do you want the mirror?" So they got the mirror, so she kind of saw herself.
And I could see the
head,
baby
right?
coming out. Yeah, you could see like,
the little
hair,
little
like,
hair,
and I was like, oh my gosh, like I did not know we were that close to seeing the baby. Like I did not know it, and I kept envisioning like I'm gonna hear him cry in a couple minutes. Like
yeah, that was like the biggest.
That's
thing.
what I kept like telling myself. Like I can't wait to like hear him. I can't wait to hear him. So.
Yeah.
Keep
and
going.
then then the third push, she just got this like Super Saiyan like, and the baby literally like one push, the third push, just boom, whole baby came out, and she got him, and right away like instantly they put her on her stomach, and it was crazy. Like I started crying, and I don't know if you saw that, but
I did. I saw a tear trickle down.
Yeah, and it was cool to see, but. Baby started crying, and
we're like, oh my gosh,
relieved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
relief for sure.
But it was pretty amazing to see that. Like it was a whole different experience from the C-section.
Yeah.
But definitely have a different respect for her because that looked crazy.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like I really wanted to do the VBAC just to kind of to experience labor in a different way, to see if I could do it, even like without the epidural. And just to see how prepared I could be, and it was empowering once it was over. Like I feel like I could do anything after that. After pushing this 8.5-pound baby, it's all like a mental game when you're in it, and then when it's over, you're like, I'm so glad I did that. It's empowering. I feel like I can do anything now. If I could do that, if I could handle that much pain with such little rest for that long. I mean, our labor only lasted 6 hours, which was awesome. But
it was like a super, super intense 6 hours. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah. So I know that some women have like long labors, like 24-hour labors and stuff like that. I'm glad that we didn't have to do that, but
I really think it was because like you were doing those exercises. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I feel like it had to have helped.
All the walking.
You walked 1 to 2 miles a day. You were doing the stretches the chiropractor gave you.
Like homework exercises.
Yeah, like she was doing what she needed to do. She had that end goal in mind, and she did what she had to do to achieve that. And I think that was the reason why, even if things didn't work out the way you wanted it to.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, it was amazing. Joshua's here. He's a beautiful baby, and he's growing, and yeah.
So I know he looks hungry, but I literally just fed him. So I feel like he's a snacker.
He's a big boy for sure.
So those of you that are like, go feed that baby. I'm like, I just fed him right before we started filming this, I swear. So he's just always hungry, huh, Bubba's? Do you want to talk a little bit about after?
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to go into that yet. That's why I wasn't sure. But all right, so.
Okay, back to the story. So just quickly, since everyone's awake now, we'll just tell you real quick what happened at the end. Yeah,
no, she tore, and they stitched her up for about 45 minutes, which was rough. She was a little pale. She did lose blood, quite a lot actually, and
they were talking about a blood transfusion because I had lost so much.
Yeah, so she did lose a lot of blood, mostly from the tear, and then about 45 minutes, an hour after she had Joshua, we tried to stand her up. And then she had passed out because, she lost a lot of blood. So that was pretty scary to see. I was on the other side, like with Joshua, and nurses rushed in. Like, oh my gosh, she's seizing, but she had just passed out just for maybe 5 seconds. Her eyes rolled back. It was scary, but it was okay. Like, she was fine. Ever since then, I've been helping her with food like iron and leafy greens and steaks and stuff like that to kind of help her with her blood. But yeah, I mean, you feel a lot better now, right?
I mean, yeah, but we're already at the 6-week mark now, and I still feel like I have some healing to do still.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it was like a long recovery. Yes, it wasn't as long as the C-section, but I don't know, it was different. It was hard in its own way. Yeah, so it was kind of scary. I did feel lightheaded for a good while still after, like even when we came home, I would still get lightheaded, just stuff like that. So I mean, it was different experience for sure. Yeah,
and the first 2 weeks back home were rough, but we got through them. And I think he even got sick. We got sick for those first 2 weeks.
I didn't even get to talk about that in my birth.
Oh, you didn't say that?
No,
oh, yeah.
because I was gonna.
That's another video,
That's
right?
a whole other video.
Alright, we'll talk about that in another video. But
Yeah.
anyways, you want to close then?
Yeah. So pretty much that's our birth story with Joshua with a successful VBAC. We hope that it was beneficial for you. If you're trying for a VBAC, you know that you can do it just as long as you prepare. I feel like because I was so prepared, I was able to do it. I did take a birthing course. I did read birthing affirmations every day. Like I was trying to be as prepared as I could, so I think it helped a lot. So yeah, like I said, if you haven't checked out my video, just me talking about it with all the more details, you can check that video out. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel. If you're currently pregnant, I go over a bunch pretty much every single week with this guy. I did a pregnancy update of just how I was feeling and how he was, developing and changing and all that good stuff. So you can check out my channel for more videos on that. But other than that, we'll see you guys next time in the next video.
Say bye, Bea.
Bye.